Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Wonder Girl, helping you to live in tune with the natural cycles of the moon. This is your astrology horoscope for the new moon in Leo, which occurs on Thursday, July 28th, 2022 at 1:53 p.m. Eastern Time or 10:53 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on at this new moon in Leo is that we are getting really excited here about doing more new and better things in our lives, perhaps suddenly and unexpectedly, to bring things together from here on out. But we're a little too excited here about what is going on, and there's a little too much passion about what's happening, causing us to kind of lose our center, lose our perspective, and maybe not act in the most healthy ways here, especially not in a sustainable way, in order to maneuver new things forward in our life positively. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned, because I'm going to hop into that right now. In order to get started, though, what I like to do first is just place it on the chart so that you can see what it is that I'm referring to and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the new moon in Leo. As a result, I've adjusted my chart accordingly. You can tell that this chart is for the new moon because I've got here the sun and the moon at the exact same degree in the exact same sign, which is Leo. And when the moon and the sun are together like this, that is the new moon. What are new moons all about? Well, new moons are all about new beginnings, new energy, and fresh starts. Leo, the sign the new moon is in, is about a few things. The first thing that it's about is a lot about our identity, because Leo is ruled by the sun here. And it's also about the core of our being and aligning to that. So what does that mean to me? Well, one of the things it means to me is that this new moon in Leo is about us getting new energy or a fresh start to really realign with the core of our identity and with the truth of who it is that we are in some very helpful way. Not only that, but I should note, I also do see Leo as about happiness and joy, again, being correlated to the sun here and to our identity, because when we're in alignment with our true self, usually happiness and joy follows. So again, to bring it together, not only is this new moon in Leo about us getting a fresh start to realign to the truth of our soul and who we are, but to feel just like happier and more joyful as a result about ourselves in life. In addition to that, Leo, being correlated to the lion, is also about courage and strength here to be who we are, to assert ourselves in the world. So not only at this new moon in Leo are we getting a new energy and new boost to realign to the truth of who we are and feel happier and more joyful, but also to feel more courageous and stronger here and more in our personal power. Okay, in addition to that, I should also note too that Leo to me is a lot about leadership, and I correlate leadership with action and risk taking here, especially with Leo being a fire sign, which does tend to be more active. So not only is this new moon in Leo about us realigning here to the truth of our soul and our identity here, and something that's very important to us, and feeling happier and more joyful and courageous and stronger and more in our power here, but I think it's also about us as a result of that feeling like more ready to do more things or to take some risks here in order to lead our life in a better direction here that we think is, again, going to be more in alignment with us and who we are and what we enjoy from here on out. Okay, and I think that's all that I have to say for the time being about the main themes here of this new moon in Leo. Before I move forward, though, to explain more specifically here about how that is going to play out over the course of the next few days here after this new moon, I do just want to go backwards in time for a minute before moving forwards. And I want to go backwards in time just to give you more of the context of how we got here and of why these themes that I just described here are now coming up to be felt, lived through, and experienced. And to go back in time to give you the context, I want to go back in time here to the last solar eclipse, which was a new moon in Taurus, almost the very last day of April of this year, 2022, right here. Okay. I want to go back to that because solar eclipses are pretty big deals here, which have impacts for at least 6 months after they occur, but in my opinion, many months and years after that. Usually I think about 9 years until the nodes return the opposite way to these signs. So we're going to go back to that. What was that about? Well, in my opinion, that new moon solar eclipse in Taurus was about us finally stepping into a new and better chapter in life that we'd really been working towards for quite some time, especially all of 2020 and all of 2021 here. And it was us stepping into a new and better experience of life in a way that we could see, touch, hear, feel, taste, smell, etc., which was very, very good. But even though in April of 2022, we began to step into some new and better experience of life, I think we really struggled after that to really move this new and better experience of life forward and to really take the next step with it, to really take it to the next level, which I think made us very, very, very upset here, especially 2 weeks after that around the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, which came in May, yes, of 2022. Okay, and because we were feeling really frustrated at that full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio that a new experience was here, but we couldn't move it forward and we're stuck, I think God, Spirit, Universe, the Divine, because Scorpio is very spiritual, decided to step in and to help us out and to throw us a bone. And I think what God, Spirit, Universe told us at that full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio is that the reason why we were stuck and unable to move some new and better experience of life forward is because we were still trying to do this new thing by old behaviors that no longer applied anymore to our lives and to our situation since they had changed. Spirit also told us that the old behaviors we needed to drop and get rid of were old behaviors in which we were trying to go fast, force things, change a lot in a very tumultuous way here, and in which we had intense emotions and were spending a lot of money and were being overly reliant on other people instead of ourselves. Not only that, but Spirit also told us it was a lot, that the new way that we needed to adopt was the opposite of those, that the new way of life we needed to adopt in order to move these things forward was one that was not crazy, not a lot of change, that was more stable, more secure here, where we were more self-reliant on ourselves without these other tumultuous relationships here, and where we were more stable, more confident here, and we're saving money instead of spending it, and we're able to calm our emotions from here on out. Okay, that came at that time. And it was a little hard for us to understand that. But even though it was a little hard for us to understand that at first, at the next new moon, which was 2 weeks after that, also in May, I believe, 2022, that new moon in Gemini, we finally started to get it. 2 weeks later, at that new moon in Gemini, we finally started to align, especially mentally and emotionally, with what Spirit was saying and with these new behaviors that were now required in order to move our lives forward, that were slower, stable, more secure, more thrifty, more self-reliant here, and more kind of calm, which was very good. But even though at that new moon in Gemini, we started to align more with what Spirit is saying, we then began to take a look at our lives and our physical existence with relationships and money and realize that they didn't match up. Our physical existence with relationships and money were still not being done by a slow, stable, secure, self-reliant way. They were being done by the old way, crazy, tumultuous, change, fast, here, super high emotions, super entwined with other people here. That was really upsetting. And we realized we had to make a change with our physical environment, with relationships and money, in order to get them in accordance with the divine and intuitive messages we had recently been receiving. And it was hard for us to do, but I think at that next full moon, 2 weeks later in June, I believe it was June at that time, June 2022 in Sagittarius, we finally did that. We finally fixed some things with relationships and money that were not in alignment here with this slower, stable, secure, self-reliant, thrifty approach that it is that we needed so that we could bring more things together here and more completely feel at peace. And we did. And because that finally happened at the next new moon after that, which was the last one we just had in Cancer, also I believe in June of this year, we then finally started to feel much better. We started to feel much better, like finally the new and better chapter is here, which had arrived in April. And like finally we had the right, correct behaviors here in the correct situations with relationships and money in order to maneuver these things forward and bring even more new and better things together in our lives, or add on top of the goodness that was already here. And I think that was nice. But even though that was nice, as we started to actually try after that new moon in Cancer to move forward and to bring more new and better things together here to add on our lives, we ran into difficulty yet again, like we did here in May. And we started to feel stuck and unable to move forward still into these experiences, which made us a bit frustrated here. And I think what we learned around the next full moon, which was in Capricorn here in July of 2022, is that the reason why we were still stuck from moving forward into new and better experiences of life is because we still had some deep-seated resistances, fears, insecurities ingrained in our subconscious about this new way of life, that slower, stable, secure, self-reliant that we thought we had already adopted here, that really did need to be addressed. And not only did we realize that and the full moon in Capricorn in July 2 weeks ago, that the reason why we were still stuck is because we still had some subconscious issues to this different way of life that was required. But we also realized that the way to overcome these subconscious issues and fears that we have is to be aware of them and to manage them better and to choose not to honor them and to continue doing what needed to be done anyways in this slow and stable, secure, and to nurture ourselves through this process here, which we did. And because finally, over the course of the past few days, really, we have more fully become aware of our subconscious resistances to a new way of life and manage them better here and are nurturing ourselves through the process. Now, at this new moon in Leo, which is what this video is for here, also July 2022, we finally are feeling better, like we're able to more fully realign and readjust our identity towards this slower, stable, secure approach that's needed from here on out, and to feel happier and more joyful with this slow, stable, secure, self-reliant approach as we move forward, and more courageous and stronger in it, and we're able to champion it now so that we can start again, trying to do more new and better things in our life, or build more new and better things on top of what's already here, which we tried to do last month at the new moon in Cancer, which we tried to do especially in April of 2022 at that solar eclipse in Taurus. Okay, and that's it, because that's all that I'm going to say here in terms of the context, and that was a lot because this is extremely significant what's going on here. I'm just going to repeat that one more time here before we move forward without the astrological jargon. So let me do that now. What I think is going on at this new moon in Leo, of which this video is for, is that we're more fully adjusting our identity and the core of our being to a different way of life and the different behaviors that are needed, that are slower, more stable, more secure here, more self-reliant, calmer emotionally, and more in tune with our needs and values, and we're feeling happier and more joyful about it. We're also feeling stronger, more courageous, and back in our power, and now ready to do more things that we really wanted to do earlier here, to bring more new and better things into our life, or add on top of the new and better things that are currently here in a healthy way. Okay, and that's it. Because that's it, I'm now going to move forward in time so that you can see more specifically here how this theme is going to play out as we move on. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to talk about now some of the specific aspects going on with this new moon itself and surrounding the new moon. Okay, and I think the first one I want to talk about does involve the new moon. So let's do that. Here's the new moon on the chart in Leo. Maybe I should explain that really quickly. Well, no, I don't. Here's the new moon in Leo. It's making a trine to Jupiter and Aries. Let's just start there. What is that all about? Well, I should note that I think that this is a very, very good thing that's going on here. I think that this is a very good thing because I personally just tend to like new moons. I think new moons give some kind of rejuvenation, refreshed energy, more hope and optimism. Not only do I like this energy because of that, but I need to note as well, the sun is in Leo, its home sign where it really likes to be. So that's very nice. Not only do I like this alignment because of that, but also too because it's connecting to Jupiter. And Jupiter to me is also a positive thing as well, and a trine in this instance I think can also be helpful. Okay, so I do like this. What is the good thing going on here? Well, with the new moon in Leo, we are feeling more aligned now with a different way of life that's slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant, more thrifty, more in tune with our needs and values, etc., etc., etc. We're also feeling more courageous and stronger and happier about it here, and more ready to move forward. Okay, and Jupiter is a lot about wisdom and understanding. It's also about hope and faith. It's also a little bit about courage too, and it's also about passion and excitement. And Jupiter is about big, it emphasizes all of this. So what that means to me to continue bringing it together is that not only here at this new moon in Leo are we realigning our identity to these slower, stable, secure behaviors, etc. here, and feeling happier, courageous, stronger, and more ready to make moves, but that is being amplified, especially because Jupiter is the biggest planet here, that is being amplified by tons. And we're getting tons of wisdom and tons of understanding about this new approach here, and tons of optimism and excitement and hope and faith and courage that it's going to work out and that we can do it, especially because Aries is a Mars ruled sign about action. They're both fire signs, that we can do it, that we can now do it, that we can now move forward doing more things in a different approach here in the ways that it is that we need, that I think is good. Okay, but even though I like this, bringing, I do need to say, an extreme amount of passion, hope, optimism, courage to do the next thing, do the next new thing in our lives, in these new behaviors that are going to succeed. Here, there is one little problem. I don't know if it's a little problem. There is an issue with this. What is the issue? Well, at the time that this new moon is making the trine to Jupiter in Aries, it is stationing to go retrograde almost around within hours of this new moon in Leo. And when planets station to go retrograde here, they bring an extra emphasis to that planet and what it's all about, because it's essentially the planet appearing to stand still in the sky. So it brings a lot of extra attention to what that's about. And sometimes that extra attention is too much. It's too much here, which can distort our judgment here, or distort the way we see things. So what does that mean to me? It means to me that not only so far this new moon in Leo are we realigning our identity to some new behaviors, or slower, stable, secure here, and more self-reliant, and feeling more happy and courageous and joyful about that, and more ready to take the next steps with it, with a huge dose of passion and courage and faith and optimism here about what we're doing, but that it's a little too much. It's like, it's so much excitement about what we're going to do next that it's like it's just too much. It's just a little too much, distorting our judgment, I think, momentarily, and causing us to not see things clearly. And with Jupiter, to maybe put on some rose-colored glasses here, because that's kind of what Jupiter does, that can be very unhelpful. I think getting our perspective a little bit out of whack, that's going on. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is not related to this new moon itself, but is happening around it. The next alignment that I want to mention is going to be right here, Mercury, also in Leo, making a square to Mars, Uranus here in the North Node, which is quite a unique and rare alignment that doesn't happen that often. Okay, this is a bit of an uncomfortable thing here, because it's a square. First of all, that's difficult. Also because both Mars and Uranus, which are together, don't like to be in Taurus. That's the sign these planets favor the least here, as well, that are both making a conjunction with each other. So this is a bit of a challenge here. What is the challenge? Well, Taurus is a lot where all this talk and all my video comes about going slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, calm emotions, in tune with your needs and values. That's where all this comes from, because that's where the eclipse was, right? In April, the solar eclipse, which is like a huge deal here. And it's being negatively aspected now by the square and by these planets that don't want to be there. So what does that mean to me? Well, to continue bringing it together, it means to me that at this new moon in Leo, we think we're ready now. We think we're ready now to move forward, doing new, better things in our life in a slow, stable, secure way from here on out. And we're super excited about it, but we're too excited. We're too excited now about moving forward, bringing more new things together in our life, that we lose our perspective, we lose our balance, and now we start to forget here that, oh, going slow, stable, secure is a thing we need to do, and it's a thing we've been working towards for quite some time, and to either ignore it or revert backwards here and try to push and go fast and feel all these feelings. If we don't forget, oh, that slow, stable, and secure is the whole point of what we're trying to do here and of what needs to happen, then maybe we start to doubt that going slow, stable, and secure is needed at all here in some kind of way, or maybe we get frustrated about it and revert and possibly even revert back into old fears and insecurities about this slow, stable, secure, thrifty, self-reliant, calm, in tune with your needs and values way of life that we've been talking about here, especially the same fears that I mentioned here while the at the last video while the full moon was in Capricorn. Okay, especially too because we have similar alignments to what was going on around that full moon in Capricorn, because not only is Mercury squaring Mars, Uranus in the North Node here, but we've got Venus in Cancer, where the Sun and Mercury were about a month ago, making a square to Chiron in Aries, which is difficult, indicating a fear Chiron. What is the same fear that's coming up that we were feeling? Well, now we're getting a fear here that going slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, and in tune with our emotions doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel safe, or won't be supported by the other people in our lives, or we won't be able to be kind and supportive to them. Not only is that a fear that's coming up, but Mercury in Leo is also opposite Saturn in Aquarius, which is another fear because oppositions in Saturns are unpleasant about us feeling alone and trapped if we do things in this different way of life. Okay, so what that means to me, just to repeat that one more time because that was a lot so far, is that what's going on at this new moon in Leo is that we are aligning with some new behaviors in life that are slow, stable, secure, and more self-reliant, feeling happier, joyful, courageous, more stronger in those, and we're ready now to use these new behaviors to move our lives forward, which is great and which is making us feel good and which we're very optimistic about. But even though it's great and we're feeling good about it and we're optimistic about it, we're getting too excited, too optimistic about it, too passionate about these new behaviors and about what we are about to do and how we're about to do it, that's causing us to lose our balance and lose our center and put on rose-colored glasses and get our whole perspective off kilter. And us losing our balance and our perspective, I think, causes us to forget that slow, stable, secure, self-reliant is what is needed here, or to doubt that it's even needed in the first place here, or to revert back into old behaviors that are pushy and fast and all over the place here, or to be fearful here of these slower, stable, secure way of life, and to fall back into the same fears we had 2 weeks ago at that full moon in Capricorn, which is that going slow, stable, and secure doesn't feel safe, doesn't feel comfortable here, or is unsupported by other people in our lives, or that we can't be sweet and supportive to other people, and that as a result, we're going to feel trapped and alone. That is hard. Causing us what? Well, back to the Mars, Uranus, and North Node, causing us to feel stuck, frustrated, Uranus, anxious, nervous, restless, and some of us to act out in weird and unhealthy ways that are gonna not be great here and that are gonna kind of be coming at things from cross purposes. Okay, and because that's what's going on here, what is the advice that I want to give you? Well, I think the advice is going to be back to one of my last alignments that I mentioned here, which is Mercury and Leo opposite Saturn in Aquarius, where, by the way, the full moon is going to be in Aquarius 2 weeks from now. I think that's the advice that I want to give you. What is that advice? Well, Saturn can be a real pain in a lot of ways, but it can also be helpful in other ways, like most planets can be. And the way that Saturn is helpful, I think, is conscious choice. I think is a big thing here. Conscious choice to manage our emotions here and to do what needs to be done. So I think that is part of the advice. I'm going to give you a little bit more, but I think part of the advice, and I should also know that Saturn is about slowing down. So I think part of the advice here is to not stop doing what you want to do. I think what you want to do is good. What you want to do is good, and it needs to be done, but to give yourself time to get your head right before taking action, to get yourself time to get your head right, not to not take action, but before you take action. And get your head right before taking action here on this new thing you want to do by better managing your fears, your insecurities, your emotions here, and by being more consciously aware of them, Saturn, more consciously aware of them, and by choosing not to honor the negative ones that are having you revert backwards. Okay, I think that's part of the advice. Not only is that part of the advice, but I think there's another piece of advice that I want to give you as a result of the Mercury and Leo square Mars, Uranus, and the North Node. What is that advice? Well, a lot of times when you get squares indicate two things that need to be done together, that need to kind of happen at once. And Leo, where Mercury is a lot about happiness and joy, and Taurus is a lot about slow, stable, secure, and that thrifty lifestyle that I've been talking about for a few months now. So not only is the advice here for you to not stop doing what you want to do, but to just give yourself a time before you do it to get your head right and get your perspective in the right place here, and to not listen to the fears, and to be aware of where you're off, and to consciously choose to get yourself in a better place here, but to also try to find a way to be both happy and joyful and excitable and passionate and move forward at the same time that you're stable and secure and self-reliant and thrifty and in tune with your needs and values and going about life in this slower, different way. To find a way to do that at the same time, and to maybe put it differently, to enjoy the process, right? To enjoy the process, because being slow, right, by nature means it's a process. It means it's a process. To find a way to enjoy the process while you initiate these new things, and however long they're going to take to work out, because they're going to take more time to work out. Okay, here as you move forward, and that's it. Okay, I think that's all that I want to say here in terms of the aspects. Because of that, I'm now just going to repeat those things one more time without the astrological jargon so that you can get a better sense of what I think is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on at this new moon in Leo is that we are now beginning to more fully realign our identity to some new behaviors that are slower, stable, secure, more thrifty, more self-reliant, and more in tune with our needs and values. We're also feeling happier and more joyful about this, and stronger and more in our power, and more ready now to use these new behaviors to move things forward in our lives and bring more new and better things together. This is very good, and we're very excited and optimistic about this and what we're going to do next, and passionate. But even though this is good and we're very excited, optimistic, and passionate about what we're going to do next, I think we're like a little bit too excited and a little bit too maybe hopeful and passionate and excited about what we're going to do. And because we're too excited and hopeful, I think we start to lose our balance or lose our center here and lose our perspective, and get in a really funny place. And because we're losing our balance and losing our perspective here, I think we begin to either forget that slow, stable, secure, and reliant is needed at all, or we doubt that it's needed, and revert back into old behaviors, or we become fearful again of this slow, stable, secure, self-reliant approach to life, afraid that it doesn't feel safe and comfortable and isn't going to be supported, or we're not going to be supportive of the other people in the way we might like in our life, or that we're going to be trapped and alone. And because that's hard, we can feel like very confused emotionally, upset emotionally here, or act out unexpectedly in non-healthy ways. And because that's what's going on, I think the advice for this new moon in Leo is to do what you want to do to maneuver your life forward. But before you do it, give yourself a minute. Give yourself a minute. Give yourself a little bit of time to get yourself in a good headspace and a balanced headspace, and to find your center and to calm down. And not only to give yourself just some time to get yourself in a good headspace before you do it, but to become consciously aware of where you're backsliding into old behaviors and of where you're afraid, and to choose not to honor those fears and to manage them better here. Not only is the advice to do that, but to also find a way to be both happy and joyful in this slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, thrifty, in tune with your needs and values approach to life that's needed here, and to enjoy the process, because these new things you're going to initiate are good, but they're going to take more time to work themselves out, and you need to be in it for the long haul, if you will, in order to make these things more fully come together. Okay, and that's it. Okay, because that's it, I guess I'm now just going to say a few more things about the energy here in a more conversational way. I think there's a few things that I want to say. I think the first thing that I want to say is this. We've been getting, since April, new behaviors in our life. Those new behaviors, which I've said since April, are slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, calm emotionally here, and thrifty, right? Which means saving money. Those are the behaviors that we have been trying to get since April here, that we're starting to get a better handle on now. Okay. The other thing that I want to say about those is the reason why, I want to keep repeating this, the reason why we need those behaviors, and those behaviors are important, because it's those behaviors that help to build and sustain something new that you've never done before, which is where I think a lot of us are right now in our lives. And when you're doing something new that you've never done before, doing something fast isn't going to work because you don't know what you're doing. And you can make mistakes that way. And doing something that's out of alignment with your needs and values, also not good, because it's going to get you back in these old things that we tried to escape all of 2020 and all of 2021, if you watched my videos from that time, okay? And spending money, and this crazy money, is also not going to help to get you the things that you want and need from here on out. So I want to say this just to make sure that we're on the same page and to connect some of my previous videos, all right? That's what's been going on. This is why it's needed. Another thing that I need to say that I did not make clear, I think in my last videos that I did for the full moon in Capricorn, is that it is not just one of these things that is needed. Okay. It is not just, we're not just learning since April to just go about life from here on out in a slower way. Only. We're not just learning to go about life from here on out in a more discerning way that's more in tune with our needs and values. We're learning to do multiple things, which include slower, more discerning, in tune with your needs and values, thrifty, saving money, more self-reliant, not depending on other people here, and from a calmer emotional space that's not engaging in tumultuous situations and arguments. Okay. So that's another point that I need to say. We've been getting a variety of new behaviors since April to try to adopt them more permanently, which we're kind of coming around to now, because that's what's needed in order to sustain something new and better so that we don't fall backwards into old situations, which we spent 2 hard years, 2020 and 2021, trying to escape. Here, and it's not just one of these behaviors that's needed. It's not just pick and choose time. This is not just pick and choose. Oh, I want to be slow, but I don't want to be self-reliant. Oh, I want to be slow, but I don't want to save money. This is not pick and choose time. You need to do as many of these as possible here in order to move forward. And they all, each of them, have their own fears and insecurities, which all come back to feeling unsafe, uncomfortable, unsupported, and trapped and alone as we do them. Okay, so keep this in mind here. I don't think I've said that clearly. I don't think I've been clear on that point, and you all need to know that that's what's going on. Okay, another thing that I need to say here about this is not only have we been trying to get these behaviors since April here through our heads and through our souls about what's going on, slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, thrifty, calm emotions that are going on here, and multiple of those, and to adopt those, but because that's what's needed. But we've been trying to get those behaviors in a more permanent way where we do them more consistently. So not where we just do them in April and then forget about them, and not just where we maybe like do them once in July and then forget about them, but where we do them day in and day out, until we don't need to do it anymore, till we do it day in and day out, until we don't need to do it anymore. And this new experience of life has become more solid and more concrete from which to grow. Okay, which means day in and day out for the rest of July, for all of August, for all of September here, for all of October, day in, day out. That's what we're trying to do here. So, because having these new behaviors, slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, that are meant to sustain some new and better experience, they're not going to sustain, right? We're not going to be able to sustain a new and better experience if we only do these helpful behaviors once a week, or maybe when we feel like it. They need to be done more consistently here, which is what's trying to happen, what's been trying to happen here for the past few months. Okay, how long do I think we're going to need these slower, more stable, more secure behaviors for? I think we're probably going to need them, to be honest, for like another year or two, you know, because the South Node is going to move through Libra all next year, and Libra is also a slower sign as well. So, and Uranus is going to be in Taurus for a bit longer too. So I think that this is probably going to need to continue for a year or so, a year or two, and you all need to settle into this and get used to it, because it's a theme that it needs to happen until the foundation of the new life is set and you can feel confident you're not going to fall backwards into these old things. Another thing that I want to note as well is that not only do these behaviors need to be done day in and day out as best as possible, it doesn't have to be perfect, just as best as possible as you can for probably, you know, another year or so, year and a half, 2 year or two, year and a half, 2 years, but it especially needs to be done for another 3 months, here. Why another 3 months? Well, 3 months from now, October 25th, I believe it is, we're going to get a new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, okay? And solar eclipses, right, are big deals, which happen every 6 months, which brings some kind of shift a little bit here in the energy. And Scorpio is a little bit of a different sign than Taurus, being the opposite of it, okay? So I want to note that. I really do think it's going to extend beyond the 3 months. It's going to extend beyond the 3 months to like another year and a half, 2 years. But if you're really freaking frustrated about this, then just commit to the next 3 months. Just commit to the next 3 months here to do these behaviors here as you move forward, because that is what is needed now in order to bring all of this stuff together. Commit to the next 3 months. And if you can do that, something very, very good is going to happen, I think, at that solar eclipse in Scorpio, but only if you can get these new behaviors, right? And continue on in this way. Okay, so that's what I need to say there. Now, what do I want to talk about? Now I need to talk more about this new moon and what's going on here. Right. Okay. So if that's what's going on here, what is with this new moon? With this new moon in Leo, right, we're on the precipice. We're on the precipice of getting it. With this new moon in Leo, I think we're on the precipice of getting everything that I just said. With this new moon in Leo, I think we're on the brink of getting it. And there's a part of us that is super on board. There's a part of us that's super on the board with like slow, stable, secure, self-reliant till whenever we need to not do it anymore, and is totally cool with it and gets it and is feeling good about it. And there's another part of us that's not. We're like teetering on the edge. We're teetering on the edge. There's another part of us that like is still kind of rejecting it. That's going on here. And so I think that's what's happening at this new moon in Leo. And I think this new moon in Leo, we need to give ourselves the push to lock these behaviors in, to lock these slower, more secure, more stable behaviors in by being aware of when we're faltering and by consciously choosing to cultivate them more and more and more here, and to cultivate it as a practice here, and to be joyful with it as we move forward, and to not think about the end result, because that may be further away here, but to enjoy the moment by moment in this slower, more stable, more secure, more self-reliant way of life, because it's supposed to be enjoyable, right? When you take things slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, in tune with your needs and values, it lets you enjoy the moment more, because it's going slow anyways, and because you're having more things that are in alignment with your needs and values. Okay, so I think that's the next point that I want to make. Like, maybe the reason why I'm feeling like I have to hit all these points home hard to you right now is because this new moon in Leo, I get the sense of we're on the brink of either really getting these habits here or not getting them and being lost. Not getting these habits and being lost, and not getting these habits and being lost, especially too because Mercury in Leo isn't a square to the nodal axis, which can kind of indicate teetering back and forth here. And we need to not revert back to old habits and patterns here that are fast, that are forced, that are super intertwined with other people, that are sacrificing our needs and values away. We need to not do that, because if we revert back into old habits and patterns, not great things are going to happen, you know, to put it nicely. Not great things are going to happen. If you're not doing these behaviors that are slow, stable, and secure, then later on down the line, something's going to occur that's going to wipe away everything you have now. That's going to wipe away the foundation of it because it wasn't solid enough in the ways that it is that it needed. And it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen now because, you know, the Mars-Uranus conjunction is on the North Node, and the North Node takes time to evolve. It takes time to reveal itself. It doesn't happen right away. So not only do I need to impress upon you that this new moon in Leo is on the precipice, we're on the brink of like getting these new behaviors or not here. And we really do need to push the, like, I don't know if push, but to like cultivate the new behaviors more and be more conscious of this, because that's going to get us success, not immediately. Well, because that's going to get us success from here on out. But I also need to note that if you don't cultivate these behaviors and fall backwards, then that's going to create the opposite of success. That's going to cause some negative things to happen. However, it won't be revealed right away. The stuff won't be revealed right away. It's going to be revealed later on. When is everything going to start to be revealed? You know, the solar eclipse, again, 3 months from now, the solar eclipse in Scorpio is when things are going to be revealed. And 3 months from now, at that solar eclipse in Scorpio, the wheat is going to be separated from the chaff. You know, the people who have been doing the work versus people who haven't been doing the work are going to be real evident. And 3 months from now, at the solar eclipse in Scorpio, the people who have been going about life in a slower, stable, secure, self-reliant way, more thrifty, more in tune with their needs and values, are going to start to see great success here and going to start to see things work and are starting to see this slower way to come to life. But those people who don't adopt this different approach are going to be fine. And then all of a sudden October is going to come and something uncomfortable is going to happen. Okay. And something uncomfortable is going to happen here, that it is going to revert them backwards and going to make things crumble because the foundation wasn't strong enough because they were cutting corners and going too fast. So really need to keep that in mind here, that this is super important. We're on the precipice of getting these slower, stable, secure behaviors and adopting them more permanently here. And we need to encourage it along, because those who encourage these behaviors along are going to have great success, especially 3 months from now, from what we're doing. And those who don't accumulate these different behaviors are going to be fine. This month are going to be fine, August, September, October, but get to November, something unexpected, unpleasant is going to happen with the Mars-Uranus North Node here. That's not going to work out, you know, so be aware of that. Okay. Now what do I want to mention here? Okay. Now I need to talk about what you want to initiate at this new moon in Leo. Right? Because there's something new and different that I think, and more, that people want to initiate at this time. Okay, I want to talk about that. Now is the time to do it. That's what I want to say there. If you've got something new and different and better that you want to do, or if you got something you want to add on top of something new, different, and better you've already done, like, now is the time to do it. I don't know quite on, yeah, sure, on the new moon in Leo or this weekend. I really like this weekend a lot. The moon in Virgo, when is that? Saturday, Sunday, Monday? I like those days a lot. Tuesday. Do it. Okay. There's something we want to do here at the new moon in Leo. If you want to do it, do it. Now's the time. Now's a good time. Now's a good time to do something new, different, better, add something new, different, and better in your life. Could be a new relationship, could be taking your current relationship to the next level, could be launching a new product, starting a new business. It could be starting a work project, or getting a promotion at work, or readjusting something with your home and family. If you want to do something that's important to you to maneuver your life forward, this new moon is a great new moon to do it. And this weekend here, I should also note as well that with the Sun trine Jupiter, at this new moon, and with Jupiter stationing retrograde, and with Jupiter being the planet of gifts and good luck, I actually think that you're going to be lucky. That if you got something you want to do now that's on your heart, I love this weekend and the beginning of next week, and I think you should do it. And I think that you're going to be very lucky. You're going to be weirdly lucky, beginner's luck. There's going to be some kind of weird luck about it, whatever you initiate, with a relationship, a business, money, you know, home, family, there's going to be some weird luck with it to get it going. Okay. But it's not the initial contact you need to be worried about. Not that you, I don't want to worry you, but about anything, but it's like, if you got something you need to do, do it. Do it soon. That's important to you. I think it's going to work on initial contact, on the first meeting or the first or few tries. It's going to weirdly work. And that's great. And you need to enjoy that. But even though it's going to weirdly work, the real issue with this new moon is not the first contact. The real issue with this new moon is not the initiating the thing and the having it work here with whatever you want to do next. The real issue with the new moon is, can you back up whatever you're doing at this new moon with a slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, calm, emotional place? Can you back it up with that? Can you back it up with that? That's really the real issue here. Because with the Jupiter influence, I think a lot of you can probably initiate something this weekend, and I think you can probably mess it up. You can probably do it in a weird way. You can probably mess it up, and I think it'll turn out fine anyways. You know, there's something about whatever you're doing, and no matter how you do it, it's going to turn out fine anyways. That's not the issue, which is why I haven't spent this part of the video talking about that. Whatever you want to do, do it. You're going to be fine. It's going to be weirdly lucky. The issue is about whether or not this thing that you initiate this week that you're going to be lucky with is about whether or not you can back that up with slow, stable, secure, self-reliant behaviors that are more confident and more in tune with your values and needs. It's about whether or not you can back that up, or whether all of a sudden you're going to initiate something exciting this weekend and all of a sudden it's going to go well and you're going to revert right back, fast, tumultuous, out of alignment with your needs and values. That's the real challenge here. And that's the real point. The focus should not be on what you want to do this time and whether or not it's gonna start to succeed. You are gonna have some kind of beginner's luck with it. The real thing you need to be focusing on is, once you initiate this thing with a relationship, with money, with a job, with your health, about whether or not after it's initiated, the week after it's initiated, and the week after that, 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 until the new moon in Scorpio, you can continue to be slow, stable, self-reliant, here, confident, secure in your own needs and values, about whether or not you can continue to do that. And that's where the focus needs to be. Can you walk the talk? Can you back this up? Or are you going to go crazy the minute that something good happens and forget everything that you've learned? That's where the real focus is. And those, to now bring everything I've said together, and those people who can initiate something really close to your heart, right? Leo, something really close to your heart, really excited about, that you want to do in the next few days after this new moon, and have it work. It's weirdly going to work. Something weird is going to come together about it in a way you weren't expecting. Could be a bit unexpected. Something weirdly going to work. If you can initiate something you want soon that's close to your heart, and it's weirdly going to work out, and you can back it up consistently, day in, day out, enjoying the process, being aware of your behaviors every single day, probably for the next year and a half, but especially until the new moon solar eclipse, October 25th of this year in Scorpio, you're going to be golden. Whatever you initiate now, it's going to work. It's going to be a dream come true. It's going to be a dream come true. You know, some relationship going to come together, I think, for a lot of you, you know, or taking a relationship to the next level, or some kind of health situation going to work, some kind of family going to work, some kind of money going to work. But if you initiate some kind of thing this week and it comes together unexpectedly, and then you get too excited and you think you don't need these other approaches and you think it's just too hard to do, and then all of a sudden you start trying to go fast with a new romance, fast making money, ignoring the red flags, ignoring your values and needs, shoving, you know, red flags under the rug here, and having leaky boundaries and expecting the other person and the other thing to fulfill you without being composed. Yeah, then you're going to get to October and you're going to realize that it's something didn't work out right because the approach wasn't correct, and that it's going to be very hard to recover from for the next year and a half after that. Okay. So do you see what's going on here at this new moon in Leo? We want to initiate something in our lives, new, different, and better, or to take something that's new, different, and better that we already have to the next level. We're very excited about it. As you should be, because it's probably going to work out fine. It's probably going to work out fine. But what you need to be worried about is not whether this new exciting thing is going to work out, because it is on initial contact with that thing. What you really need to be worried about is whether or not you can sustain the proper behaviors needed to make it succeed. And to get right with that and to get yourself in the mindset to do that. Because if you can, I think you're going to be just fine, and things are going to come together better than you can imagine in November of this year after the solar eclipse in Scorpio. And if you can't sustain a slower, stable, secure, self-reliant behaviors, then I think there's going to be issues here around November. Right. Now, are there extenuating circumstances? Are there extenuating circumstances when you can initiate something this week, it can go well, and then it can fail in November? Sure, maybe, fate can step in. But I think on the whole, if you're doing these behaviors, slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, thrifty, and doing multiple of them at once, not just one of them, multiple of them here, then I think you're going to be just fine come October here as you move onwards. Okay. So maybe I should give you some examples of how this might play out. I think some of you obviously might want to initiate a new relationship at this new moon in Leo here, like to date someone or something that you're interested in. I think that what might happen is that you might initiate that contact with that person, and I actually think it'll go pretty well, that the person will reciprocate nicely, and maybe be interested too and want to try something out, which can be very good and make you actually very excited here. But what could happen for some of you is that after you initiate that initial contact with the person you're going to date, you could get too excited here and forget about going slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, and in tune with your needs and values. And you could continue in this relationship that's been initiated, that you're dating here, but go fast. Be intimate too fast, too soon here. Ignore the red flags. Ignore when your needs and values are being walked all over here. And you could not have boundaries and expect someone else to fulfill you instead of being self-reliant and spend a lot of money going out with them. And that could be really upsetting come October. Well, really the end of October, 25th, into November, because what might happen is that that relationship may fall apart in November. The two of you may all of a sudden start to get in arguments because the relationship was never really built on true needs and values to begin with and was overlooked and is not a solid foundation, or you may break up, and that could be really devastating. But conversely, what could happen is that some of you could initiate some kind of dating relationship here at this new moon in Leo, and it could go well again. It could be received very well, be reciprocated here, and it could work. And then the two of you could get together. And what could happen is that the both of you, really, the onus is on both of you to choose to go about this relationship in a slow, stable, secure way, to wait to get intimate until you know each other better and have more conversations, and to kind of mind your own business while you get to know each other and be responsible for your own selves, and to be more self-reliant and to pay attention to when your needs and values are being disrespected, and to address that when it happens here and have conversations about that. And those people who can do that are going to be just fine come October. Well, the end of October and in November are going to be just fine, because the relationship is either going to end amicably, right? Not a problem. Or I think for most of you, it's going to get deeper here and going to be a really beautiful bond that there's a lot of great sex, passion, and intimacy with the Scorpio influence here 3 months from now. Okay. Another way that this could go is maybe this is a work money thing. Maybe some of you at this time want to initiate a new making money thing. Launch a new product for a business, or start a new business, or start a new project at work, something like that. And what could happen is that in the next few days after this new moon, it could actually go pretty well. You could start this new business and it could succeed in a lot of ways, or this new product, it could start to succeed. But then what could happen is that you could get so excited by the fact that it's succeeding and working that you could revert back into old behaviors here, like pushing your business too fast and cutting corners to make it grow, and getting loans from other people and things, and borrowing more money than you're ready for because you're just so excited. You think everything is going to work out and you don't need to worry about all this other stuff. And then come the end of October, 25th November, you could run on hard times because maybe you didn't build the business strong enough here, and maybe there's some kind of financial collapse in the world and you don't have any savings, and now you've borrowed all this money, and now no one's buying your product because everyone's strapped financially in the world. Or you could lose your job because the job is struggling because of the world finances. So you see what's going on here. But conversely, there could be someone who initiates something with business, work, money at this time, and it goes well. Sorry, my dog. And it goes well, and then they keep with the slow, stable, and secure behaviors. And they say, I'm launched a product, I'm making more money, it's going well, I don't want to jinx myself. Let's keep slow, steady, secure. Let's continue to save money, be thrifty, be smart about this, be self-reliant. And then in October, November, things could improve here with the business, and it could start to take off, and you could be protected against a world financial issue. Okay. Same perhaps with a health issue. What could happen here is that some of you could be trying to improve your health at this time, and you could initiate some kind of new health treatment here or health plan, and it could go very well initially, which can be great. But what could happen is that you could get worried after the initial worried or overexcited after the initial health treatment and it working, that you could all of a sudden get impatient and revert back to wanting things to happen fast and to forcing your health to get better instead of being patient and giving it time. And what could occur is that could create a lot of negative situations here where you bungle the health treatment here, or don't let the health treatment complete its process and see it to the end and do what it needs to be done. And then in October, run into November, sorry, this is the end of October, November, run into real difficulties. Or you could do converse. What could happen is you could initiate a new health treatment here, get very excited about it initially working, and then continue to be slow and patient and to let the whole process of the health treatment play out over the course of the next 3 months. It's going to take the whole 3 months to see whether or not this health thing is actually going to work here. And then by the time November comes, it does begin to work, and you get a lot of answers and clarity that you need about the health, and you start to feel better. Okay. Same with maybe a family or home situation. Maybe there are some of you who have a thing with either a family member or your home that you want to improve in some kind of way to make better for you here, that which should have already been improving. You should have already been working to improve it over the course of the past few years. Well, what can happen is that some of you could initiate something with your home, your living space, or with a family member to improve that relationship. And initially it can go quite well. You know, everyone is on the same page. Let's improve this thing. But even though it goes quite well, what could happen is that either you or the other person, right, the other family member, the person that you're connecting with, could get so excited that things are going well and maybe revert back into going fast, into pushing things or wanting things to happen sooner than they actually are here, and create issues that can prevent this positive thing with family from manifesting in November. But conversely, what could happen is that someone could initiate something with a family member to improve that relationship, or with the home here, and it could go quite well. And instead of getting patient and antsy, each person can be slow, stable, secure, and can be patient and give it the entire 3 months to work itself out and to see how this stuff is going to play out here, and to more fully get used to it, and to not pick arguments and to not get antsy. And that way in November, the things will begin to come together here with the family more positively. Another thing that I want to note as well is that if this is not you that's struggling with some of this, the going fast versus the going slow, or self-reliant versus, you know, and all that other stuff, it could be someone else that is struggling with this, and to be aware of that. Okay, to be aware that you could be connecting with someone who is struggling with this and who is not getting the new behaviors and is reverting backwards. Okay. And if you're connecting with somebody who is reverting backwards, what you also need to do is to be aware and to either distance yourself from them here, or to put strong boundaries in place with them here, so that things can go in the proper way, the slow, stable, secure, self-reliant way that's needed. I also want to note too that some of you may receive an unexpected event, right? Because not only is this energy about us wanting to do something more, but sometimes some things that people want to do, they want to do with us. So this could also indicate that we're receiving some kind of unexpected event here at this new moon in Leo. And what I also want to say is that if you're receiving the event and not acting on it, that's no excuse for going fast. Because sometimes there are some people out there who think, well, I'm the receiving party here of something that someone else initiated with me, here, I'm just going to follow their lead and let them do whatever they want to do here. And it's like, no, okay. It doesn't matter who initiated and who's receiving here. If you're in a situation with another person and they're going fast and have unhealthy behaviors, it's both your responsibilities here to slow things down. It's on both of you to do it here and to not let these negative behaviors linger here, you know, as you move forward. Okay. And I think that's all that I want to say. What you want to do is going to be fine, and it's going to work out here on initial contact. And initial means like the next week. But you can't revert backwards. You gotta keep with a slower, stable, secure approach to moving forward. Yeah, maybe there's one other thing that I want to say here. Why am I really hitting this home? Slow, stable, secure. Because even though whatever you initiate is going to be good for the next week, there's an issue, and it's gonna feel stuck in the weeks after. You know, as we get towards the full moon in Aquarius 2 weeks from now and onwards. So that's why I really need to say this. You're going to initiate something now. It's going to work out on immediate first contact here, but it's going to what's the word? Stagnate. It's going to stagnate as we get 2 weeks from now at the full moon in Aquarius. It's going to stagnate. And if you're going slow, stable, and secure, and if you've permanently adopted these behaviors, that ain't going to be no thing. You're not going to worry, oh, my health is stagnating, or maybe it's going to fall backwards. Oh, I'm not going to worry, my health is stagnating or falling backwards. Oh, my relationship, it's stagnating. I don't know if we really like each other or not. You're going to be like, it's fine. I'm in this for the long haul anyways. It's fine. I'm in this for the next 3 months anyways. It's fine. I got the right behaviors. I got the right mindset to sustain this. I'm enjoying the process. It's fine here. And that's why that is so important as you move forwards. Okay. And I think that's all I'm going to say here. Okay. Now your card. Oh, let's look at inside degrees really quickly. Now your inside degrees for this time period. I like 4 and 5. The new moon is at 5 degrees, but I like 4 and 5. So we're going to do that. These weren't written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled each of the degrees, the meanings of them from spirit. But I like to read them to give you another opinion on the astrology. We've got Leo 4. This is bonding with the immediate external task and swallowing yourself up in its container, finding sanctuary in excellence, practice, discipline, conscientious carry through, becoming engrossed within the task itself in its way of life. So what does that mean to me? It does mean that there's something that a lot of us want to do at this new moon, an immediate external task that we're swallowed up in, but that we need to balance that with excellence, practice, discipline, and carry through. Right? And not get distracted by the immediate response here or by our excitable emotions. Okay. It says next, harnessing vast vision into detailed particulars. You succeed marvelously in becoming what is asked, turning yourself into the one who fits the role, the pure servant. Okay. So a lot of you, right, you gotta do what is needed here in order to make these things a success, which is slow, stable, and secure. It says you've been assigned to veil the self in lesser things so that you'll be undisturbed to work within and do spade work for planet evolution. So what does that mean to me? That a lot of us this time period have something we want to do, that we need to have excellence, practice, discipline, and carry through as we move forward and do what needs to be done to make it a success. But even though we need to have discipline, practice, carry through discipline here, it's not going to be revealed, right? That's why I see this. We're not going to, the positive efforts of our, the positive results of our efforts aren't going to be revealed right away. They're going to be revealed in November, and we need to be patient here and at peace as that occurs. Okay, that's what that means to me. I'm sure some of you will take other things away from it, but that's what I get there. Now I'm going to take just a look at Leo 5 because I also liked that one. It says this: when different sides of the soul had developed to drastically different points, you become a strange mix, a hybrid view, simultaneously ancient with wisdom and vibrant with youth at best, or perhaps at once aging rapidly and still uninformed. Those facets that are older and wiser have developed a great mode of perception over long cycles of time. Those facets that remain young and unformed have not kept up with a greater awareness and the personal expression and embodiment. Therefore, your knowingness is advanced, yet your performance is a novice. So, and that's the part that I really wanted to get to. Because what that means to me is that I think a lot of us know what needs to be done here and what we want to do next, but the performance is still lacking, especially in the slower, stable, secure way that we really need in order to master our situations and move them forward. And so again, to go back to Leo 4, we have to have practice, discipline, conscientious carry through here in order to make sure we're putting the knowingness into action in a more helpful way until the final result, until the work is complete, you know, whenever that is, which I think is going to be at the end of October into November sometime. Okay. The next line says, the hardest part is to accept and embrace yourself as you are and to forgive and transmute, which sometimes seems like a lack of courage and strength under fire. Okay. So what that means to me is that even though like we know what we want to do, I think this time period to move our lives forward, we just don't have the performance in action really to back it up quite yet with the necessary behaviors. And we need to be more conscious with more practice and discipline and excellence as we move forward, but that we may falter. And from now until November, we may falter every once in a while and go fast on one day when we need to be going slow, you know, or lack a boundary one day when we need to have one, or not assert our needs and values when we need to. That's fine. You don't have to be 100% perfect here, and you can do that and forgive yourself, but the balance needs to be more on that, weighted on this new behaviors here as we move forward. Okay, and I think that's all I'm going to say there because this video has gone on kind of long. Okay, because that's it, I'm now going to go ahead and pull your card for this time period. Is Temperance upright. What do we have at the bottom of the deck? The Queen of Cups reversed. Okay, Temperance is a major arcana, so that means it's a big deal. This new moon, the major arcana didn't have to tell me that. That's very obvious with the North Node, Mars, Uranus stuff going on here, but this new moon is a big deal. This also is indicating to me balance. You know, Temperance is a lot about balance, you know, having a little bit more of like a temperate approach. So I think there's a huge message here that there's a lot of excitement going on here about our next steps. You do need to do something. It is going to have an initial working out, but you need to be more balanced and grounded here as you move forward. Okay, not only do I see Temperance about balance, needing to be emotionally balanced in order to move forward, but I think sometimes too Temperance is healing, and healing is like a derivative of healthy. So I think that not only is this card saying that like there's something you want to do it just in a more balanced, temperate way here, but that like also, but to do it in a healthier way, you know, that's not based on fear and anxiety and all these other things, but that comes from, you know, better behaviors as you move forward. What else? You know, sometimes I see the Temperance is about alchemy, you know, with the two cups pouring into each other here and alchemizing things, especially too for considering that we are leading up to a solar eclipse in a few months in Scorpio, and Scorpio is about transformation. So I think the next thought too from this card is like, not only do we need to get better at like balancing our emotions so that they're a little bit more moderate and not getting the best of us here, especially with the Queen of Cups reversed here at the bottom of the deck, and not spilling out all over the place, and get more grounded so that we can proceed in a healthier way. But that I think we might need like to have a profound transformation within our perspective and within our approach to life and how we see life, and to realize that slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, like can be happy, can be joyful here, you know, and can be magical, like in its own way with like the rainbow here, can be magical and doesn't mean anything's wrong. It means that something's very right. And that if your situations now and after this point continue to kind of move at like a slower pace, that's self-reliant, that you're actually in a good place, you know, probably better than you think here, and to see it as such, to see any slowness or boredom perhaps, or lack of movement as like a confirmation, as not as a confirmation that you're on the right path, not a sign that you're off track, but as a confirmation that you're on the right track, you know, because sometimes when we feel like things are going slow in life, we get the sense of like, maybe I'm doing something wrong, you know, like if if I were doing something right, things would be happening more or better or faster. And I think that's just incorrect, especially for this time in the astrology. You know, for right now, it's incorrect. And I think if you're feeling like your life is going slow or stuck in some kind of way, that actually means that you're doing something right and that you're actually building where you are more solid, and to get the deep perspective shift that allows you to see things that way from now and until you don't need to anymore, but especially from now until November of this year. Okay, and I think that's all I'm going to say there. I hope that was helpful for you. This new moon is a big deal. There's a lot of different angles you can play on it. There's a lot of different things happening at once. So I hope that was kind of clear and hit on a lot of things there, even if it was a bit disorganized. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope this was helpful. Hope you have a good new moon, and I will talk to you on the next video 2 weeks from now. Full moon in Aquarius.